A lot of people say it's good to open these with a joke. So, here's a joke. An Irishman walks out of a bar.
Hello, TJ. Due to the tornado outbreak last night in the United States, I was just wondering, have you ever been through a tornado? Because I personally live in Canada and I've never experienced one up here. So, yeah, I'd like to know if you've ever been through a storm like that since you live in Louisiana. And, yeah.
You know, I've never been through a tornado, but I grew up in a house where my mom was terrified of tornadoes. And, you know, we have some pretty gnarly thunderstorms here in Louisiana where I did most of my growing up. And so I have a lot of very distinct memories of my mom waking us up because there's a thunderstorm outside, and she's like, "There's a tornado warning, everyone get down in the cellar." And, Well, of course we don't have cellars, but we had, you know, our house was up on stilts because there's a lot of flooding in Louisiana, so a lot of houses are built like that. And we all had to get down under the house, which to me seemed like a silly place to be because then the house collapses and you're all crushed under its full weight. But, I don't know. She'd always make us get down under the house, and, you know, we'd have to get in a little garage area and, you know, huddle together, and my stepdad would sit there complaining about how stupid it was, and me and my brother were fucking terrified because my mom is sitting there like, "We're all gonna die, boys, oh my god, it's so horrible." So I have a lot of memories of being scared shitless of tornadoes when there were no tornadoes anywhere to be seen. You know, there'd be like a tornado 3 or 4 parishes over. We're the only fucking state that still uses parishes. Maybe we're the only state that ever used parishes. I don't even know why we have parishes instead of counties, but they're called parishes here. There'd be a tornado like 3 parishes over, so she'd be losing her fucking mind and just pumping me and my brother full of fear, like, that tornado's gonna come and it's gonna fucking destroy us. It's gonna be like... And, you know, then I saw my fear of tornadoes was strangely cured by the movie Twister. Because after I saw Twister, I'm like, well, a tornado is pretty fucking awesome. I mean, the only tornado I'd ever seen, like, in a movie before that, I think, was in, you know, Wizard of Oz. And that took her to this gay-ass land of, like, munchkins and shit. And I'm like, I don't want to go there. That looks lame. They're all singing and dancing. I mean, that'd drive me crazy. But then I saw that all a tornado really does is, like, throw cows around, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can deal with that. So.
Hello, TJ. Did you know that pretty soon you'll be able to get your Whopper by delivery? What's your opinion? Do you like it? Do you hate it?
You know, I've almost certainly told this story before, but one time I was at Burger King, and I was eating my Whopper, and I'm sitting there like, this is just not good. This is fucking awful. And Holly was there, and she was eating like some chicken nuggets or something. And there's this guy next to us with his wife. He's probably about 40, 50 years old. He's, you know, got really thin hair, and he's got big old people glasses. And he's eating a Whopper as well. And midway through his Whopper, he stands up with purpose. He walks outside of the Burger King, and I can see him through the windows vomiting in the bushes. Just bleh, bleh. And I'm like, that's not good. And he comes back inside, sits back down at the table. His wife's like, "Are you alright, sweetie?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he keeps eating his burger. And after that, I'm just like, look at mine. I'm just like, never again. That was the last time I ever ate Burger King. Probably about 3 years ago now. I don't know, 2 or 3 years at least. And never touched the stuff since. I think maybe once on a road trip I ate like a little kid's burger because I was just starving. But, yeah, I don't do Burger King. So as far as I'm concerned, a Burger King delivery service, that'd be like a rat shit delivery service. Now we can bring rat shit right to your door. It's like, no thanks. None for me.
Hi, TJ. My question for you is being realistic. What do you think the ultimate point of communication is amongst humans? What is the point of, I know not existence, because that sounds elementary in the sense that it's been asked so many times we don't have the answer. But what do you think as a person is should be the main goal of humanity in general? Because I know when I was a part of major conservative movements, it was the conservative agenda. If you're part of liberal movements, it's their agenda. If you're part of a religion, it's their agenda. So if you're not part of any of those agendas I've named, what is TJ's agenda? Like, what is an agenda that maybe people could even involve themselves in that is started or oriented around you? I hope that makes sense. Have a great day.
I kind of regret that I've always been an against person rather than a for person. And everyone is against some things and for others, but a lot of people define themselves based on what they're for. I'm for justice, I'm for equality. Me, I'm against things. And what I'm mostly against, if you want to know my agenda, is the agendas of other people. Because to me, the world looks like a series of people who are dull and dim-witted slaves, and then a lot of other people that are just trying to be the master. You got morality in media and porn harms trying to regulate your sexuality, just like the Catholic Church, just like the feminists. Not all feminists, just the radical feminists, I guess. But, you still got all these different factions of people that are trying to regulate who you are, how you behave. Usually it's in the bedroom, but it's other places too. It's, don't smoke that here, don't do this there, don't spend your money like this, don't say these words. And I guess that in a lot of ways my life has been dedicated to telling those people to go fuck themselves. Regardless of their ideology, regardless of their reasoning behind whatever sort of censorship or self-censorship they promote, I'm always the person who defines myself as I am against them. My focus is entirely on stopping any of these people from getting too much of a stranglehold on our society. And I know I'm only one person and there's just very little I can do. But if I can at least draw attention to what they're doing and what they're trying to do and the fucked up ways that they view the world and their inherently negative view of human freedom, then I feel like I've done my job. As for what the agenda of humanity should be, I'm not nearly arrogant enough to think I know that. What happened to Cody? I've gone over this several places, but I guess until I address it on this channel, it's never going to go away. And I'm not going to give the full, dirty, detailed version of events. I'm not going to describe, all of the problems I have with Cody, because honestly, I'm over it. But what it really amounts to is that I brought Cody on because he could shoot my videos a lot better than I can. And he was very talented, and he made my videos look really good. And as time went on, he became less and less interested in doing that, and more interested in smoking weed and going out to eat and just, burning through money like nobody's business. It basically reached the point where you just have to ask yourself, is this worth it anymore? And I asked myself that question, and I decided that no, it wasn't worth it anymore, and it hadn't been worth it for a long time. So Cody decided he was going to go to Keokuk and, for a little vacation. Why he needs a vacation, I don't fucking know. But he went, and I decided, you know what, just don't fucking bother coming back. And I told him, you're not welcome back here, just stay the fuck there. And he did. And that's that.
TJ, what do you believe in? Um, I know you're an atheist, but like, what do you believe in? Like, I know you gotta have some kind of beliefs. Like, do you believe in karma? Um, like, I don't know. If you want a more specific question, like, what would be like your top 10 guidelines to life? Like, what would be your top 10 things that you follow? Like a strict code of life that just works best for you, like your own personal opinions and shit. Let me know what's good, homeboy.
I chose this question because you're a grown man wearing a Ninja Turtle hat, and I'm a grown man wearing a Batman shirt. And and we're talking on the internet while thousands of people watch. We are truly a generation that not only eschews greatness, but just roundly rejects even attempting greatness. It's just like, fuck you, greatness. We want nothing to do with you. We got our Batman, we got our Ninja Turtles, we're fucking cool. I don't believe in anything supernatural. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in gods. I do believe in heroes. I know a lot of people who think in a similar vein to me reject the idea of hero worship, but I don't. I don't believe in putting your heroes up on a pedestal. You know, I believe that my heroes are flawed human beings, just like myself, and that's how I want them. I'm not interested in people who aren't flawed. I'm interested in people who overcame flaws to achieve something great, or even embraced flaws to make something great. That's why my heroes are not people like Gandhi or fucking Martin Luther King. Not that I don't have a lot of respect for those guys. They're people like Marilyn Manson and George Carlin. I guess I've always gravitated towards fucked up degenerates because I'm a fucked up degenerate, and everyone I've ever liked has been a fucked up degenerate. I'm not really interested in morally upstanding people because all I see them as are people who either are controlled or desperately seek to control others. That's something I reject. I can't get behind control. I can't get behind the idea that anyone should be in control of their fellow man. I'm not of the notion that anyone has ever been so smart or so right that they, transcend their own rights and their own privileges, and they can now control the rights and privileges of others. I don't buy into the notion that anyone is so wise that they should be given control of my life.
Should welfare recipients be drug tested? Should politicians be drug tested?
When the idea of drug testing welfare recipients first started being tossed around, a lot of liberals thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I don't think it's very ridiculous. If you have people being taxed to pay for welfare, then it's a pretty fair question to ask what that money is going to be used for. And if it's going to be used for drugs, then it doesn't seem like it's a viable use of tax dollars, because that money is supposed to be going to help those people eat and clothe themselves and take care of their children and so on and so forth, not for them to get high. But at the same time, it just doesn't seem like it could possibly work. And the liberal counter-argument of, well, why don't we drug test senators? Why don't we drug test politicians? They're on our dime too. Why don't we drug test them? That seems like a pretty fair retort. The problem is really that drug testing welfare recipients is far more expensive than the problem it purports to solve. Because even if you find out that a significant portion of people who are on welfare are on drugs, it costs more to drug test them than it saves by catching the ones who are using it for drugs. This has been shown. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense. As for drug testing senators, I really don't care what drugs they're on. a senator wants to get high. If his constituency doesn't notice, then that's on them. I don't think that should be some sort of mandated requirement. And besides, they just get out of it anyway. I mean, they're just gonna, they're all rich. They're gonna pay the doctors to say whatever they want them to say, or they're gonna, get fake piss or, fake hair follicles or something. I mean, they'll figure some way around it. I mean, these people are professional politicians.
Do you support Anonymous?
Being asked if you support Anonymous is kind of like being asked if you support a tornado that's just indiscriminately tearing across the countryside. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. I support them on a case-by-case basis. It depends on what they're doing at any given time. Sometimes they do things I really like, sometimes they do things I really don't like. But, they're anonymous. They don't have any sort of... they don't have a hierarchy. They don't have a hierarchical system of leadership. It's like a cloud of people that are just nebulous, and they have a general sort of will towards doing something, and their ultimate goal is kind of something that I could see myself supporting. But at the same time, it's not like there is a figurehead that's laying out a strategy that I can look at and make a checklist and say, oh, yes, I agree with that. Oh, no, I don't agree with that. But, in general, I guess I support Anonymous more often than I don't.
Hello, TJ. I'm making this video to ask you the question, you have said before in your videos that you wish to legalize pretty much all the drugs, but you would have to admit that with dangerous drugs like that, the sale of it would have to be regulated to a certain extent. If you were the one legalizing this, how would you regulate it? Do you have any ideas on that fact, or... No, I was just wondering that. Thanks.
Yes, it's true that I think all drugs should be legalized, not just decriminalized, but legalized entirely and regulated in much the same fashion as we regulate alcohol and cancer sticks. It's always been kind of a strange little irony to me that liberals, the ones who are always talking about, yeah, we gotta legalize pot, we gotta legalize weed, are the same people who've marginalized smoking tobacco to the point where, outside of your own property, you pretty much can't touch the stuff now. I think in some states you can't even, smoke it in public parks, or, you gotta be like 100 feet away from like buildings that are used by the public. Oh, yeah, but we want to legalize weed. I don't understand that. Curb the freedoms of the legal drug users, all while saying you want to expand the freedoms of the illegal drug users. My position is altogether more consistent. I feel like people should be able to put whatever they want to into their bodies, as long as they're not, doing so at the detriment of others. There's a bit of a case to be made about secondhand smoke, but I kind of think that should be left up to the business owner. Like, if you run a bar and you want to have a no smoking policy, that's fine. If you run a bar and you want to have a smoking policy, that should also be fine. And I think most businesses are going to elect to not allow smoking in their, businesses because it stinks, and most people who don't smoke don't like to be around people who do smoke. As a non-smoker myself, I can tell you that I have no desire to be around people when they're smoking. I'm not an asshole about it. If someone gets in my car and says, can I light up a cigarette, chances are I'll say, yeah, that's fine, just roll the window down. And it's not like I'm going to judge them or do that obnoxious fake coughing or, So I'm not that kind of non-smoker, but still, I do admit that it's unpleasant. I'd rather be around a smoker than a drunk, though, and even as a drinker, I'd much rather be around a person who's, quietly sitting there to themselves, or perhaps making, some intelligent conversation, and they just happen to be smoking at the same time, I'd rather be around that person than someone who is a drunk, belligerent asshole. It's like, I'll fucking kick your ass, you know. But yeah, I do think all drugs should be legalized. I still think they should be under the jurisdiction of the Food and Drug Administration. So, basically you'd see things like, meth on sale with the same warnings you get for cigarettes. Methamphetamine causes this and this and this. And ultimately, I think it'd be a lot safer for society because a lot of these drug-related crimes, these gangs, they make their money selling drugs, and then they fight over territories, and they kill each other, and they kill innocent bystanders in the process. And then there's a lot of theft that happens because druggies trying to, score their next fix, breaking into cars, stealing stereos, stuff like that. I think it makes a lot more sense to... plus you have a black market that's not being taxed at all. This is a huge part of commerce in the United States of America, and... the American people aren't getting anything back for it. The money that changes hands from a druggie to their drug dealer does not, it's not something that's put back into the economy at all. There's no roads being built with that. So I think it makes a lot more sense on pretty much every front to have these drugs regulated so they're not dangerous for their users, or at least not more dangerous than they need to be, to have them taxed so that the money from those transactions is put back into the system, and plus it undercuts the gangs, and it makes it to where a junkie doesn't have to steal in order to get his next fix. And it also, what it does is it enables people who are addicted to those substances to be open enough about it that they can seek help, that they can be treated, and that they are not afraid of being sent to prison. They're not afraid of going to jail simply for something that they choose to put in their own bodies. So I think it makes much more sense to do things that way than the way we've been doing them.